Greetings! I, Pathfinder Dracovin, your Lord and Emperor here at the Dracovin Empire, and welcome! It is time to once again dive into the Pathfinder world of Golarion, and we're going to be visiting a location today. We're heading to Riddleport. Now, if you're joining me, of course, live on Twitch, hi, over there on Twitch, and if you're joining me on YouTube over there, remember, please the algorithm and like, subscribe, ring the bell, and all that kind of stuff. My question today, have you had any adventures in Riddleport? The third largest city in Varisia, and another one of the major ports, and, of course, city-states. I had an entire video about Varisia if you want to go check it out in the past, but basically I didn't dive too much into the major city-states of the region, because they kind of deserve their own videos, and Riddleport is one of those. So why don't we dive into some books you can check out to look deeper into Riddleport if you want to on your own, for a few more details. I'm only going to go over some of the basics, so like if you want to actually learn more about people, locations, and other things like that, you can. So the books that you can look into, of course, are Rise of the Rune Lords, the Anniversary Edition, the Player's Guide, or the main book there. It does talk about Riddleport to a degree. Though Riddleport isn't as majorly included in that book as some of the others, it is there too. Shadows in the Sky from the Second Darkness adventure path deals with Riddleport because you start there. Hey, you start in that place. Though Second Darkness really is outdated with a lot of the way the lore has evolved, aka Drow have been removed from the lore. Certainly speaking, it exists and it's there. Paizo of the Inner Sea, because the city was technically founded by pirates. Of course, Varisia, Birthplace of Legend, deals with it a little bit. And yeah, those are the books that, if you want to look into it more, certainly the Second Darkness book is a great place because you start there. In the city of Cyphers, Riddleport. It's a haven for pirates and seafaring brigands. It is very far north of the Arch of Eredin. Criminals and rogues teem in the place. It's full of danger, intrigue. It takes its name from the Cypher Gate, a giant stone arch spanning the natural cove in which the city is built. It is covered both sides with Thessalonian symbols, though the exact meaning is unknown. But because of that giant gate, which you can see in the image over there, you can see that image, the big old gate, the Cypher Gate, that's there. Now, to describe the region it is in, it's in the northwestern coast of Varisia, where the mouth of the Venishlu River forms a natural cove with the Varisian Gulf. It's placed between two large rocky bluffs, each over 300 feet high, and occupies both banks of the river. The majority of the city is situated on the eastern bank, nestled behind the outer rim of the Kalapak Mountains, which it cuts off from hilly tidal swamps to the far east. The Venishlu finds its way through the canyon walls from the Venishlu uplands. Roads lead out of town both to the north and east, but are all poorly maintained, as most traffic in and out of the city is by boat. The Cypher Gate, which towers over the entire harbor, is never out of sight. Its rune-carved spans dwarfing anything around it. Most of the buildings here are composed of wood with multiple floors and steep, high-peaked roofs. Stone fireplaces ward off the bitter winter cold and chill that lingers in the fog-laden streets for much of the year, save for high summer. Now the city is divided into 9 different sections or districts, each with its own characters, inhabitants, and Masker's Island holds the current overlord Silicon, so that's an island nearby. The Boneyard is the dump and ship's graveyard, and it's not really the resting place of the dead, technically. It's located east of the city's eastern ridge. Climbing over the ridge, it cuts, the Boneyard Cut Pass ascends almost 200 feet at a near 45-degree angle. Old husk collection of ship's ribs protrude from the swampy ground of the Boneyard. The whole area is partially flooded salt marsh and is generally 2 to 3 feet deep, with some hidden patches of quicksand and deeper. Scavenging creatures live in this area, including dangerous swamp barracuda and immense cockroaches. There are several places that these hulks have clumped together, and these tangled warrens of chambers interconnected with plank bridges, ropes, and crude ladders that are inhabited by were-rat families, all of whom belong to a much larger family run by Cyphers. The Devil's Fork is the military district and guards the northern approach to the city. It is located on the eastern bank of the Venishlu River. It has a stable yard, barracks of the 250 soldiers of the city, and a small force of light cavalry, as well as the city's fortress prison, Shoreleaf. So they do have a military there. The Free Coin District is located in the northwestern corner of the city, on the far banks of the Venishlu. It gets its name from the fact that Overlord Cromacry declared that all gambling halls in the district would operate tax-free. The reason for this, of course, is the Overlord partially or wholly owns all those establishments. He still gets money. He doesn't want to pay himself taxes. The three largest gaming halls, the Dragon's Hoard, the Watercress, and House of Nabin, have all greatly increased in popularity in recent years, even though it is widely known that these games of chance are rigged in favor of the house. The Leeward District encompasses the northeastern section of the city. Cradled with a rocky spur of the Calfluck Mountains, it is protected from most of the worst of the weather. Leeward is the primary residential district of the city, though many tenement buildings also have shops on the ground floor. Prostitutes are most common in the streets and squares of this district, enticing customers to accompany them to the House of Silken Veils. Other places of interest, Zincher's tenements, the Boss Croach compound, Mystery of the Gate, and the River Runner Inn. I'm not going to go into detail of any place. You can look those up in books if you want to dive deep, or online. Lubbertown is separated by a spur of the Calfluck Mountains from the rest of the city of Riddleport. The district of Lubbertown is a lawless area that makes its own rules, and a city of criminals being lawless is pretty bad. It got its name from the fact that most people settled here came via land versus sea. It's not patrolled by Overlord Gaston Cromacry's Riddleport gendarmes. The district has developed its own system of brutal justice and black markets in furs, spices, Thessalonian artifacts, scoured from scavengers and trappers in the Venishlu Highlands. The River District runs along both sides of the river on the western side of town. It contains numerous shops, but the primary location of business that rely on a steady supply of fresh and moving water. These include the minimal manufacturing operations such as metalworks, lumber mills, tanners, cloth makers, all of which dump their stuff into the river. A number of sewer pipes also end in this part of town, earning its unofficial name, the Reef District. It has the Inner Harbor, the Publican House, Venishlu Ferry, and the Fishbowl. The Rotgut District is located on the east of the Riddleport Harbor docks. The district is collapsing tenements crammed up against the city's eastern ridge. It is the poorest district and features the highest crime rate. It hosts many brothels and alehouses. Every crime lord seems to have business in the Rotgut District, with St. Casparian's Mission and Riddleport Light as two locations within them. Of course, the Wharf District is located just north of Riddleport's harbor docks. Much of the city's commercial action and thievery occurs in this district. Nearest to the docks are several warehouses and cheap grog shops. It was once the center of commerce, but much of the action has moved to the Free Coin District. Inns and shops have grimy windows and peeling paint hinting at a prosperity that no longer exists. The Gold Goblin Gambling Hall, Zilcher's Arena, and gas forges are here. And finally, the Windward District consists of sturdy timber buildings. It's located upon the slopes of Riddleport's western ridge. Winding paths with steep cuts into the stone provide access through this steep district. Most buildings are several stories high with many balconies. Some of them are connected by small bridges. It houses most of Riddleport's scholars with the Cypher Lodge here. And those are the districts and locations within Riddleport. Yay! Now as we switch to a picture here of Riddleport, seeing the art in town, the Temple of Caden Kalian here. Let's talk about who's in charge here. We'll talk about religion in a second. But yes, now, if you look at Riddleport from the outside, it looks almost as an Antarctic, a place of anarchy, of pirates and brigands. But the city is actually quite stable, especially more in recent years. It's large part due in work to the leadership of the current head of Riddleport, the Overlord Gaston Cromacry. Cromacry has held the title of Overlord for about 3 decades, having the usual way, murdering the pirate captain who held before him. At the beginning of his reign, he used what funds were left over from the previous Overlord to hire land-based mercenaries to maintain the law in the city. These men were beholden only to him, and allowed Cromacry to consolidate a lot of power in his office. In the past, Overlords had drawn on muscle from various pirate crews who owed numerous allegiances to the captains of rival criminal gangs. Cromacry ruled over the city with a light touch and has the constant help of several powerful figures. When the time comes to choose a new Overlord, he will be drawn from this group. This includes Avely Slegg, who directs most of the smuggling operations, Varnal Splitface Carmack, a master beggar and pickpocket, Boss Krot, who's a beast Dromar, takes control of trade of illicit substance, Plague Zincher, who runs Lyncher's Arena, Elias Hammerhawk, speaker of the Order of Cyphers, Shorfa Haramade, the high priestess of the Temple of Callistre, and Zirphus, a were-rat and gang leader. Each crime rat has its own small army of contacts, snitches, soldiers, fenches, lone sergeants, specialists, who form affiliations with pirate captains. And there are temples other than Kaelin Killian. Callistre and Besmara have temples here. Now let's see, and overlook a top-down view of the map of Riddleport. Hey, look, you can see the area where it's cut off from the mountains here for the other districts. This map doesn't tell you the districts, but this is one from Paizo. Now, who lives here? Well, scoundrels, outcasts, cutthroats. Yeah, its blind-eye approach to crime has a large population skewed towards that fill its harbors and dockside brothels. But despite its relative danger, it's also got scholars and academics are fairly common to see there. The massive Cipher Gate presents a seamless, endless supply of research material for those interested in Thessalonian relics. The presence of these scholars and mages seem to have added to a tempering agent to the anarchic mix of pirates and cutthroats. It also has a sizable population of Cambion, the largest in Varisia and one of the largest in all of Bastion. Riddleport is also home to a sizable population of rat folk, known as the Ulfin Leapers, who not only make great sailors, but also fearsome brawlers for creatures of their size. Now, Riddleport, unlike a lot of the other people to its south, Magnamar, Corvosa, doesn't really have a lot of holdings as a city-state. It does have one small town that technically is aligned with them, Roderick's Cove. It's an alternative destination for merchants too nervous to dock at Riddleport. Yeah. It was founded only about 80 years ago, and the wave of emigrants leaving Magnamar, led by notorious privateer Sir Roderick. They went a less structured way of life, and though heading to places like Riddleport would be nice, they went to Roderick's Cove and founded their own way. Other outposts like this did form, but this is one of the ones that actually survived. The native creatures and frontier life made it very difficult to live in this region. Basically, when those people left, they made a lot of these small places or settled in Riddleport. This is one of the ones that survived. It was built on top of a traditional Varisian gathering site, and despite attacks of bandits and goblins, not to mention countless pirate attacks, it's flourished. And about 20 years ago, the pirate captains of Riddleport finally decided that Roderick's Cove was just too sweet plum not to pluck, and brought the town under their control. It has continued to flourish, though as pirates of Riddleport have spared the town, ensuring its success as a shipping trading port. Basically because Riddleport is a pirate's haven, you don't pirate your own stuff, it's grown. Anything that goes to Roderick's Cove is out of, what they go after. So, yeah. And Lizard Thort is currently its port governor, which was lead the tool as a kind of autocratic role, with a small council of merchants and prominent citizens advising them. So we're going to look into Roderick's Cove. It actually has a pretty well-developed kind of place too, but it is part of the Riddleport Holdings. So it's its own village, but including that. And there you go, that's Riddleport. Again, Riddleport, I feel like it definitely deserved its own episode in this case. It wasn't so much that, I'm going to be talking about it for a long period of time, but I did want to introduce you to this place because it is an interesting place in Varisia with an organized anarchy. Certainly there's a lot of anarchy that goes on there. Pirates, crimes, criminals, all around the place. But it does have organization, and the fact that it's becoming more organized now might mean not necessarily a shift. We'd have to see what happens when the new Overlord takes over from the current one. That will depend on a lot of how the place continues to evolve and change. Certainly with the mercenaries that have kind of taken a permanent residence as part of the town, it has strengthened it as a military might. It's not a huge thing, but it made the place semi-controlled chaos, more than just chaos. Riddleport, it's different than Karamag, which I'll have to talk about in another video. But Karamag is still very much so just pure anarchy. This is a place of controlled anarchy, and we can see it there. And yeah, if you're a scientist, scholar, person looking for magical artifacts, you might come here with the connections to the Cypher Gate and Thessalonian relics. Just as much as a pirate or criminal might go here. There's plenty of reasons to go to this region, even if you're going to check out stuff in north of Varisia. Here, or it's Roderick's Cove, might be places to visit. Head inland to explore. Certainly plenty of Pathfinders and adventurers might find themselves coming this way. Just saying. Well, you know, the town probably doesn't have any major stories itself. It certainly is a good backdrop to start the adventure. And we'll leave it there. Riddleport's a very interesting place. It's a very much so, I could have a start of an adventure here, or even a kind of small adventures here place. And I'm sure you could come up with a big storyline related around the Thessalonian stuff if you really wanted to, or, you know, if Paizo decides to at some point in time publish something, they could. But it also feels like it just could be very well a bunch of people walk into a bar and start an adventure. Anyway, if you want to see more videos like this in the future, I do all of them. All the tabletop stuff is live on Twitch. It goes up on YouTube afterwards. The live schedule for these type of videos, the tabletop-related ones, are Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Thursdays being Pathfinder day, Pathfinder topics. If I miss one of those days, well, Friday's the backup day. I have a live play of Pathfinder 1st Edition in Varisia, where the players could eventually visit Riddleport, maybe. They probably won't, but there's a chance of it. It's been mentioned. It's the Crimson Queen. It's an adaptation of the Crimson Throne Adventure Path. I recommend checking that out, even if you can't catch us live at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. Check us out on YouTube afterwards. And then, of course, discussing tabletop on Saturdays at 6. Again, both also going up on YouTube. We talk about news of the week, and then we dive into some interesting, deeper discussion topics in the tabletop world, which I highly recommend checking out, even if you want to skip the news. Anyway, I also have social media link below. That'll be it. I hope you enjoyed today, learned a few things. But until the next time we talk about another city-state, another country, another ancestry, something else related to the lore of the Golarion world, I bid all of you out there, or something else in tabletop, a deep and wonderful farewell.